Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL Podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly.
Hello, DCL Podcast.
Hello, DCL Podcast.
We are on a train.
Yes.
And we are traveling from Colmar, France to Basel, Switzerland.
Yes.
And we did it.
We did it.
We've had an adventure. So 2 days ago, we got on a plane from Orlando to Amsterdam. Really no issues there. Loudest nighttime flight in the history of nighttime flights, but whatever, that happens. And then we arrived in Amsterdam and had to wait like
6 hours.
5 or 6 hours for our next flight, and we just holed up in the KLM lounge and were tortured.
I think we both took mini naps.
Yeah. Literally, no one watched TV. Nobody did anything. We just sort of sat there and played on the phone a little bit, napped, and hung out. And then we made it to Basel, Switzerland. We took a cab. We'd originally reserved a car from our hotel, and that car was not there. So, whatever. There was a cab. We just took the cab. No big deal. And then we...
It wasn't a quick, long ride either. It was very quick. It was only like maybe 7-8 minutes to the hotel.
And then I had Googled how much it would cost to take a cab, and it was 45 monies, which is what I call it because we have Swiss francs, we have euros, we have all the things. So we're just going to call it money, 45 monies. And that's what they charged us, so that was good. Okay, so then
we checked
we just went by a train stop, and so we were like, oh, we're not really stopping, but we're slowing down, so we don't understand, but it's fine. So we checked in, we got our room. There's now, a baby that hasn't made really much noise until we started recording.
Yep.
Maybe we'll pause for a little bit. Oh my God, the baby stopped as soon as I said I was going to pause. So we'll just keep going for now. Okay, so...
Messieurs, prochaine ami la gare de Mulhouse. Avant de quitter votre place, assurez-vous de ne rien oublier à bord, s'il vous plaît. Je vous rappelle pour votre sécurité que la descente du train doit s'effectuer sur un quai et à l'arrêt.
So then we went to sleep, and we all had insomnia.
Yeah.
And we're up.
And we all crashed hard.
Very.
And then woke up at like 1 a.m. and none of us could sleep.
And we're up for a few hours. And then we slept until 10.
Yeah.
Which I couldn't tell you the last time I slept until 10. So we missed breakfast, which wasn't a big deal. We got cleaned up, and we went downstairs and asked them to tell us how to get to the for assistance to get to the train station. And we bought train tickets to Colmar, France. And she gave us the directions to take like the local train to the regional train.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. And we figured out how to buy tickets on the phone. And then we went to the Christmas market and had a very successful day.
Yeah.
I said this on the Last Cabana show, that every time we do something slightly wrong. And we did buy one carousel ticket. Is that a carousel? No, what is that thing? With the big
Ferris wheel.
Ferris wheel. We did buy one too many Ferris wheel tickets.
Yeah. We said 3. I said 3.
Shh, you have to be quiet.
And I put 3 fingers up, and she gave us 4.
So, whatever. We bought too many train tickets, or Ferris wheel tickets. So then...
And we did have a little bit of a hard time finding you something to eat.
Well, we didn't check restaurants, though.
That is true.
And I didn't even use Google. We just thought, like, in Amsterdam, we had an easier... There was, like, all these gluten-free sandwiches everywhere. And we just bought those. I bought a sandwich. It wasn't a big deal. But there wasn't options, which was a little bit... Whatever, it was fine. It was not a big deal. I went to this one place. It was vegan. And had a vegan, gluten-free and vegan, and ate there. And Dave ate a beautiful pretzel.
Yes, and Blake and I had a beautiful, awesome margarita pizza.
That pizza looked good. So I probably will have more French fries at our hotel tonight because it was quite nice.
Yeah. I want to look at their dessert menu too. I'm hankering to see what they have dessert-wise.
Oh yeah, you never got your cheesecake.
Never got my pastry.
I did get dessert at that vegan, gluten-free place.
We'll be in the room.
So then that's it. Now we made it back to the train. We had one of those experiences where it was like, can we make this train at 5:53
And go potty.
and go to the bathroom? And we literally ran down the platform. We ran to get to the train, and we made it just in the nick of time.
And the markets, I think, were awesome. Our first taste of the markets was very beautiful.
Yes, I'm so glad we did this.
Yeah, me too. It's our own little adventure looking at markets.
Adventure by Christy.
That's right.
And this train ride is about between 45 and 55 minutes. And
we have to remember to tell Steve that we found a Subway.
oh, I posted it. There was a Subway. I think that's it. So the Christmas markets, people might know this, but they're all over the town. Like there's different little market locations.
Like pockets.
Yeah. So that's a thing. Just to note, so you like find one and then you keep walking and then you sort of stumble upon them because that's where the people are.
Yeah.
There was like a sign that pointed us to a market, and then there were other ones that we just stumbled upon.
Yeah.
So.
And some of them had like rides for kids. The one had the big Ferris wheel for everybody.
Not the small one that I stayed on forever.
There was this little
mini Ferris wheel.
Yeah, mini, like real mini. And I swear Blake was on it for like 5 or 10 minutes. I was like, does he live there now? So that was funny. It was just that.
Yeah.
It never let him out.
Just kept going around and around.
But it was cute. Did you have fun in there? He's shaking his head, yes. This is radio, not television. Oh yeah, he tickled all the kids.
Yeah.
Just slightly creepy maybe, but whatever. Kids liked it. All right. I think that's our
Good first day. Successful first part of our trip.
We did it. And now we will take our little directions, go back. We did ask the front desk also for the local train. It's like a bus train.
It's like a light rail.
Yeah. Like a light rail situation. And that one will also take us to the city center tomorrow from our hotel. And they, too, have like a big cathedral and a Christmas market, and our river cruise starts tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to figure out getting the luggage, like when it's supposed to be downstairs, and we have to figure all that out, too. We have lots to figure out. Ooh, and so we stayed at the hotel that ABD is using, but we booked it separately, and we do have access to the executive lounge, which isn't very executive.
No,
I don't know. I don't understand this executive
underwhelming.
lounge, but it's fine. But there's wine in a fridge.
That is true.
I will be having wine from the fridge tonight.
Yes.
And you can have a Coke.
There you go.
Coke and wine.
I haven't Coke all
man,
day.
and their gluten-free bread is so good, and I'm going to go there, and I'm going to be like, can I have gluten-free bread? And there's not going to be anybody there. We are going to call that number, and we are going to ask for some gluten-free bread. Or I'll get it with my french fries tonight.
Yep.
That's our plan, guys. So it's 6:20. We will make it back in another 20-ish minutes. Well, we'll make it to the train station, and then we'll go from there. Okay, bye, everyone. Hello. From the Ama Lucia.
Lucia, in Basel still.
Yes, but we're here on board.
We are.
And they have Disney music playing in this main lounge.
Yes, and it's all decorated for Christmas. They have wreaths and all sorts of mistletoe and stockings and everything everywhere.
And we just learned that Disney charters the Ama Lucia for 2 months in the summer, and then like a little bit in the fall because they did wine cruises, and then this cruise for Christmas.
Yeah. This was the first.
Yeah, for the winter. We left off when we were on the train.
On the train back from Colmar.
And we really didn't have many issues, except that we did have maybe one thing. We forgot to pay attention to what our stop was called, where we got on the light rail to get to the train station. So definitely want to keep track. And we still don't even know who was the one who came up with
Messaplatz.
right the name of the light rail, the name of our stop. So double check what your train stop is called. And then it was also interesting because when we went to get off the train, this is very specific to our city, but there was no sign. Like typically for the regional train, typically for the big trains, there'd be like a sign announcing the stop. And then there was an announcement announcing the stop. But whatever word they used to announce it was not a word that sounded anything like Basel.
Yeah. I mean, it was in French, but nothing sounded like Basel. So
no, the word Basel did not come out of their mouth. So it was called something different. So I guess the biggest issue there was just that we didn't know for sure we were at our stop. But it all worked out. So we were at our stop.
We were walking going, Basel? Are we in Basel? Basel? Is this Basel?
Somebody said yes. And that was the end of that.
Yeah.
And then when we got off the stop at our hotel, we also were like, is this where we live? And some like nice man said, yep, Hyperion is right around this train. And it was, so it was perfect. Okay, so then today you leave your luggage with, well, checkout was 12. There's breakfast in the morning. We actually made it to breakfast today. I had a nice breakfast. The boys ate a very little baby bit of breakfast. And then...
You took some purse eggs with you?
Yeah. I tend to do that where I'll take like an egg sandwich because you never know when I can eat and fold it up in a napkin and put it in my purse. I do that in the Caribbean all over the place. Like I'll get an omelet with some gluten-free bread and I'll take it with me. And then sometimes I'll do like a piece of bread with cream cheese, so that's an option as well. But something to keep in mind, and for whatever length of time from getting the breakfast to the excursion starting, knock on wood, I've never gotten sick eating purse eggs that have been literally just sitting in my purse until it's been time to eat. So that's something if you need an option for what to eat. So... today, so we packed up, we showered, we packed up the luggage, we took it downstairs at 12, they tag everything to take over to the ship, and then you can either take the transfers from the hotel, even if you book it privately, to the ship, or you can just get there. And they gave us maps with very, detailed locations of where things were located. And then we were so proud of ourselves. So today, we were able to take a whole new light rail number from where the Christmas markets were to the ship, and we did it without even doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And we followed the path, and we figured out the stop, and yay us!
Yeah, we even figured out, okay, this train is not going to get us to the ship, so we need to swap from 6 to 11. And, that one will get us there. And so we were very proud of ourselves.
Very proud of ourselves. So we did that.
And the market browsing was fun. It was, we got food for Blake and I, and it was good.
We tried the mulled wine, which name I can't ever remember how to pronounce.
It's like Showed or something.
No, Gween.
Oh, yeah, here it was Gluhine or something. Gluine or Glue, something like that.
So you guys that know the answer, apologies. I had that. I don't think I like it. Yeah. So there's that answer. There was one booth that said gluten-free on it, and I was able to get potato chips. And it was so funny to randomly figure out the gluten-free. I was in this sandwich salad smoothie shop yesterday trying to see if they could feed me, and I had a peanut smoothie basically.
Peanuts in a cup.
And the oat milk, she was like, I think the oats have gluten. So we looked at the container and it said gluten-free. It's not frites, but it's something like frites. And so I was like, wait, what does that mean? And she said, oh, gluten-free, perfect. So that was cute because I didn't know what the other word was. And I will say I did download, which I have not used yet, from celiactravel.com, these gluten-free travel cards, and I pay $5, and you don't have to pay anything, but I always donate $5. So I did that before the trip so that if there were people that just didn't have enough English to be able to figure out what I was saying, we couldn't have a conversation about my allergy, that I could show them the card. And that worked once in France very well. Still one of the best salads I've ever had in my life I got from there. So we have those. I had them in my purse, but I haven't had to use it yet. So anyway, the gluten-free sign was at some booth. I had potato chips. I had egg purse eggs. Blake actually got an amazing dish of pasta. Fresh made pasta from a booth. And this lady was standing there, and we were talking to her, and she had a little baby. And I don't know, she was like getting an order of pasta. And she was already talking to us, very nice. And I was just like, since we've been friends, I mean, we talked to her for 3 minutes, but, you know, can my son try a bite of your pasta to see if he would like it? And she was like, absolutely. So then she told the shop owner, you know, to give us a bite on a fork. And Blake tried it and loved it. And so he ate a big bowl, a decent sized bowl of pasta. Dave found a pulled pork sandwich.
Really
that was
good.
Very good.
It was really, really good. He was funny because he's like, well, it's not American. It's not the same like sauce you're used to in America. So it doesn't have the kick. I'm like, well, I don't like the kick. He goes, oh, well, then you like this.
So we all ate that, like just walking around, and did some shopping. We bought these like one light star things that we had seen. I had seen on a like Christmas market, somebody's Instagram account, and Blake and I really liked them. So we got those, and then we made it back to the ship. Yeah. And it like boarding worked out. We watched the ship pull up. That was super cool to watch.
Very cool. Again, like right when it was pulling up too.
Yeah, so timing was perfect. And then they let us board. Internet is included. I haven't tried to stream anything, but I have made phone calls. And the phone calls take a second to work, and then they work beautifully.
Yeah.
So, and that's all through Wi-Fi. Blake is in the cabin right now playing with his phone.
He's already a teenager.
He is.
He's like, I'm in Wi-Fi. I'm going to play on my phone.
And I think we've talked about it, but we're in 2 rooms. My mom was going to be here at one point. And so she was going to have Blake in her room, and Dave and I were going to be in a room, but she decided not to come. And so it's Blake and I in one room and Dave in the other. We're across the hall from each other. They do have connecting cabins, but those were sold out by the time we booked. And then they also have suites, which even with 2 cabins, it's still cheaper. Mm-hmm. It was like maybe $4,000 or $5,000 cheaper. And then with there's also cabins of 3 with this like really small like chair that folds into a bed, but those were sold out by the time we booked as well. And we had been on like a wait list since October of 2022 for a 3-person cabin that was not a suite, and those had been sold out. So that wasn't a choice. So it's fine. It's fine like this. And now we have 2 showers.
It's a very nice ship. I think it's
really nice. It's very clean.
Very clean.
There's like almost nothing to wipe down when we were wiping stuff down.
And I haven't sat on the bed. We'll have to ask Blake if the bed's comfortable or not.
Yeah, he's already in his PJs for a little bit, just lounging. In a short bit, what time was it? At 5?
At 6 o'clock, they do...
so it's not till 6?
Yeah. So 5:45 is departure, which is in about 40 minutes. And then at 6 o'clock, they do a captain welcome.
But when's the lifeboat drill?
Right after that. So they do like the 6 o'clock, the captain does like a little toast welcome. And then right after that, they do the lifeboat drill. And then after that, they do dinner. So, and they had, when we first got on, there was like snacks and drinks and, you know, like a cocktail hour type thing.
Yeah, so, well, it's not cocktails, but beer and wine and soda is included in all the meals. And the lunchtime meal, at least, is quite long. Mm-hmm. And in this, like, lounge, it's considered all part of the restaurant. And so lunchtime cocktails or lunchtime beverages get to count. So I actually had gluten-free beer already.
Yeah, gluten-free sandwich.
I was able to get a gluten-free sandwich, which was exciting. And then I had a glass of Prosecco as well. So I think what we're going to do for these snippets is give you like a snapshot of what is occurring. But like we're going to go on a city tour and we're going to learn things about the city. But I'm not going to necessarily tell you what we learned because I want you to be able to come and do the trip and learn the thing yourself. but we will give our impressions of what the event is like and or the places that we've chosen to go is like, so that you can determine if you want to do that as well. I think part of what occurs tonight also is where they talk about the excursions so that people can change their mind as to what excursions they want to choose. So, and there is some availability to switch, my understanding is, to switch your excursions around if you haven't picked it already. So I think that is part of what occurs. And then dinner is afterwards. So stuff is later, which is part of the reason. And I'm still a little bit hungry, but I didn't eat a ton today.
And you eat kind of hodgepodge throughout the day.
Right. But so dinner is later, and then I believe that every night there's some sort of like music or something, entertainment in this lounge.
They have, I noticed they had like a little library area where there's like books, and they also had like board games. So if you have...
Where'd you notice that?
When I was walking up that way, like on that side, there's a...
There's like a little tiny store.
Yep.
Sells very little. You can hear lots of cards being shuffled around us. So people are playing their card games while they're sitting around. I know Dave brought us Disney Yahtzee, or gave us Disney Yahtzee for Christmas that we packed. And then we have a couple of other little games and stuff that we can do. And then, the internet's included. So I'm sure that will be an enjoyable way to spend some time as well.
Exactly.
So I think that is it.
Tomorrow is Germany.
The initial impressions are very nice.
Yep.
So tomorrow would be the Colmar Christmas market, which we already went to. And that day, or this Euro park.
Right.
And we chose the Euro park. So
that we did Colmar yesterday.
And that's why we designed it this way. Originally, I was going to go to Colmar by myself. I'm so glad I didn't go there by myself. I'm so glad. Well, I would have figured it out. I figured it out.
But I think us together, we figure out things quicker. Like, I would have been lost too.
And it was nice to be together.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been lonely by myself in that city.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to all be together. It was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good. And I am still so proud of us for figuring out this light rail train internal public transportation system.
Yes.
Like, we figured out how to read the signs, and like figured out the stops, and like we figured out the stop name basically that we needed. It was just...
We can't pronounce it,
no,
but we know what the stop name
we
is.
1,000% can pronounce nothing. And sometimes people would look at us and start talking to us in foreign languages, so that was super fun. But we did not understand them, so that we looked like locals. So we looked like something. We looked like something non-American because they talked to us in a different language.
There you go.
So that was good. Sometimes
French, sometimes German, sometimes no idea.
Right. And so we paid for things with Swiss francs today, and this is why I call it monies. So anytime I talk about it costs like 5 monies, it's because we switch between francs and euros. And then there's dollars, right? Which is nothing. There's nobody cares about dollars here. But it's too many monies. So monies it is. So we're like, give them 3 monies. That's it. That's our story for now. And you can hear the music in the background because people quieted down a little bit. Although now the children are being louder again. I would say I've seen like maybe a handful of kids younger than Blake. Mm-hmm. A few kids around Blake's age, I think. Yeah. And then quite a few teenagers and stuff. So we'll probably get a countdown at some point.
I feel like it's going to skew a little older just because of what it takes to survive Europe. And Blake is, I feel like, a good starting age. Maybe 8 or 9, but I think he's a good age to start with this.
He's done great. Yeah. Like yesterday we had... Was it 13,000 steps or 18,000 steps?
I had 14 or 15, so it was
then
around
I had 13.
there, yeah.
And today we've only had 7,000, so it wasn't very many at all. Yeah.
7,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's it. Those are our snippets for the day. We will keep you posted. Maybe we'll do another one tonight.
Maybe touring a castle in Germany? Wine tasting in Germany? Bike riding in Germany? Sipping and sailing as we go by all these beautiful castles in the Rhine Gorge. What a beautiful vacation we had this week. And again, 8 days, 8 empty pages we're going to fill in with all these wonderful stories. But all good stories start with 4 simple words. So can anyone here guess what 4 simple words our story will begin with here on the Rhine? What is it?
Once upon a time.
Oh, that was a good guess, but no. It's not once upon a time. Any other guesses? Did I hear someone say a galaxy far, far away? I'm sure it feels like that, right? You're all the way up here in Europe. No. Our story here on the Rhine River is going to begin with Once Upon a Rhine. Dad jokes. We got them. We're here with you all week long. We got plenty of those dad jokes.
Called the Mack family. This family actually designed roller coasters. They manufactured them. And then the family came out to Disneyland out in the U.S., right? To Walt's Park out in California. And they were blown away by how beautiful the park was. They decided, you know what? We're manufacturing roller coaster products. Why don't we go ahead and make our own theme park? So then they were looking at designing something out here in Germany, and they looked at Breisig, where we're currently docked at. But they didn't choose Breisig, and the reason why is because Breisig, it's known for flooding. The area of the land they were going to buy at, there was no way they could build a theme park there without the risk of lots of flooding. And I'm sure you guys are well aware of the Rhine River right now, lots of elevated water levels. They had a big snow recently in this region, and the temperatures rose, and then a lot of that snow is melted, and it's caused the waters to elevate, which is okay. But now back to Europa. I got to tell you all about it. I'm so excited about today. You all are going to have a great time. Again, they opened. They went to Disneyland actually in 1972. The family went to Disneyland. Of course, Disneyland opened in 1955, so they've been open for a good 17 years. They went out there and they loved it so much. They said, "Let's build this theme park." Well, Breisig wouldn't work, and then they started searching, looking around, and then they found this little area in Rust, Germany, which is where we're headed to. And they found this castle that was up for sale. They decided to buy this castle that we're going to. That's going to be the first place we head to in the park. And they built the theme park all around this castle. For attractions, they have over 100 attractions here at this one park. And you have to think like Disney World, you go to Magic Kingdom, we have I think 24 attractions, different attractions at the Magic Kingdom. You have to then leave that park to go to like Epcot to do another one, right? Animal Kingdom in Hollywood. This is 100 all in this one park. And
okay, so where's the little bloop, bloop, bloop? It's a new day. But it's many new days. Because we've been home. I lost my voice.
I can't wait to see what we get for Christmas.
Yeah, all that's done. Everything about Christmas is over.
You're dating us, honey. We can pretend we're still on the ship.
No, outing us.
I can do whoosh with the sound of the water rushing by our window.
Well, we never really had that.
No, but you know.
So I had laryngitis. I still kind of do. Yeah, so laryngitis, no voice. Unfortunately, you'll hear that whenever you hear the recording I did with Steve over a Sydney Adventures by Disney trip. And I'm still very squeaky.
You feel fine.
Yeah.
I
have felt fine for this whole week and a half of no voice, a squeaky voice.
You had a couple of days where you like barely whisper, and that was about it.
Yeah.
And then you're at least to this level.
Yeah, I went to leave a client a voicemail, and all that came out were squeaks. And so, that was a thing. So we're home. We're going to talk about, because we already played the major portion of the trip report. So we're going to talk about the last day disembarking and how the transfers worked, how that last day worked, and getting home. Mm-hmm. So I don't think this is going to be very long, although we can be verbose.
Yeah.
So anyway, basically with the cruise, everybody makes their own airfare plans, airline, air ticket, whatever. Apparently I have no words. And so your own travel plans, these are the words I'm trying to say. And you just let AMA Waterways know on the ship, and they deal with your transfers. So your transfers are included through Adventures by Disney if you are going to the airport or to their hotel that they have set up. If you're going to somewhere else, then you do have to provide your own transfers. Like some people were going to different hotels or Airbnbs or random things like that in the city, and they had to set that up. But you could set up with the front desk what time you were going to have those transfers be. And then they made this giant chart that they put in their little like desk office
concierge type area.
Yeah.
It was a giant color-coded board.
Yes. And so you found your time and it told you the time to basically meet the taxi in the lounge and the time that you put your luggage out. So basically you put your luggage outside your room like 15 minutes before your transfer is going to occur, or maybe it was like 15 minutes. And then they just come in.
It was, I think, 30 minutes. So we had 8:15, we had to be out, and then our transfer time officially was 8:45. So I think they did like a 30-minute window.
Yeah. So they take your luggage from the hallway and then basically bring it out of the ship so that it's there to put in your transfer whenever it arrives. And then they did it by like family and who needs to get to the airport at what time. I believe they told us when we get to the airport. We just told them our flight time. Yeah, we told them
the flight time, and they said, okay, based on that, here's the slot that we're going to put you in.
I feel like our transfer was like 3.5 hours or so before our flight.
Yeah.
So, but we were ready, and
we had packed up the night before for most of the suitcases and got them ready, and they gave us color-coded luggage tags to put on them, so they would bring them out. And I think we just had one piece that we just left open so that the next morning we could shove stuff in.
Yeah, but we didn't put any of the luggage out until the next day.
Right, but I mean, like, we didn't. Everything else was like closed up and ready to go.
So then I went and had breakfast with the group again. Well, part of breakfast.
Yeah.
And then
Blake was having a difficult time waking up. He did not
wake
want to get up
because it was such a long trip.
Yeah. So I sat in the room with Blake and kind of we wrapped up a few other remaining things that needed to be packed up. Christy went down to breakfast, and there had been a bit of a joke that I had done that
it is not nice
that Christy paid me back for. So on one of the excursions when we were coming back, there weren't enough seats on the bus together, so I ended up sitting with the adventure guides.
Which we did not care about.
No, it wasn't a big deal. It was not an issue at all. But it was a double decker. So Christy and Blake were upstairs and I was downstairs. And as we were arriving, as a joke, because they were saying, okay, everyone, pack up you grab your stuff, get ready to get off. And as a joke, I said, do me a favor and do this announcement. So he went on and announced and said, Blake, please remind your mom to grab her phone. And then, of course, multiple adventure guides picked up on that, and they repeated, I think, 3 or 4 times. And I think they thought it was hilarious that as soon as they said it, they heard a, hey, coming from upstairs. So as payback, Blake and I were sitting in the room, and we gotten him ready, and he had milk or something, and we were sitting around waiting.
And they announce when your transfer has arrived.
Yes.
So, and it was funny because obviously early morning my brain just wasn't working. Christy had said, by the way, all of the transfers seem to be getting here 15 minutes early. And we wanted to go early because we were ready. And we were really nervous about Amsterdam security, which we'll discuss in a little bit. But we were like, let's get there just in case the airport is crazy. So
she had definitely given me plenty of heads up that, hey, by the way, at 6:30, you probably got to be ready to be down here with us. Or 8:30. And of course, we're sitting there and they announce our room number. And then they get on and say, Christy would like her husband and her son to come join her to leave the ship. So.
And they did this on like the shipboard, all the common area intercom.
In the rooms.
No, it wasn't in the rooms.
Oh,
I mean, it was in the lounge. It was in the hallway. It was in the restaurant. Yeah. So our friends all heard it.
So it was a very fun little payback.
That's what you get.
So yeah, we exited the ship and did our little scan out, and the taxi was waiting for us.
It was like a black car.
Yeah.
And it was fine. And we didn't have to pay anything. There wasn't really an opportunity to pay anything. I'm fairly certain we still didn't have any actual euros.
Well, we'd used them up on that one taxi ride.
Right. But then I don't think we ever got any new euros. I don't know why we didn't. And then in the background, we have, because we want some ambient sound, We have Olaf's Yule log thing from the Arendelle
on Disney
Plus, which is the best background fire if you ever want something like that. But Olaf just ran out, so you could hear him making little Olaf sounds. So anyway, I got to pay back Dave for his snark, his bus-wide snark. But anyway, so they did it by family. So like if you had a group going, they would send out your family specifically, like it was a private transfer basically to the airport. So that was super nice. And then
the drive wasn't that long either. It was maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Well, it was more than 15 minutes, but less than a half an hour.
Yeah.
Very easy. So that was good. And then we got to the airport and really we were like, there was not one person in line for checking our bags with Delta. We did have Sky Priority. So there wasn't a person in front of us. And then we got to security and there wasn't a person in front of us in security either.
It was like the universe was like,
let's make this easy for them. Yeah. And then a note on the security there as well. So again, we were in like the Sky Priority security area, but there were
attention to the signs because when we went through, it splits a bit after you check your luggage, and we actually had to do like a
turnaround,
a U-turn onto some stairs because you had to really pay attention to the signs. Otherwise, you'd end up in the regular line versus Sky Priority line. So definitely pay attention to sign things.
The regular line. He sounds a bit elitist.
With the plebeians.
Grounded. But listen, whatever line you're supposed to be in, just look at the signs to see those lines. But the important part to note is that we didn't have to take any liquids out of our luggage. We didn't have to take our shoes off. We didn't have to take liquids off. They have those like giant industrial bins that all the things have to go in. And like, I feel like a coat or something had to come off, but nothing else had to be taken off. And I felt like they were like stern, but not mean or rude.
Yeah.
And it was very efficient.
Yeah.
Very, very efficient.
They were very much clear on who got to go up to the bin. And if you've never been to Amsterdam, they have a very good system of the bins on the after security get put in this thing that they get shuffled back to the front and they pop out and then they go. So
that's a boring story, honey. Nobody cares about the bins.
I did have to take my belt off for those, but only because it set off the detector. And so he goes, well, just take off your belt. And I did that and it was fine. So
your new belt?
My new belt that I bought.
Maybe it was because it was a new belt. I'm just kidding. So that was it. And then the only other like airport note I would give is that, remember how excited I was about gluten-free sandwiches when we arrived? For whatever reason, the terminal hallway where our plane was located which was like a 10, 15 minute walk of us like really hustling to get to it. So just keep that in mind with how far away your gate could be. But the terminal like walkway did not have any of those gluten-free sandwiches. Not a gluten-free sandwich to be had, which I ended up not eating because I had actually the best meal on the plane of anybody in my family and ate the most. And so, it just ended up being a non-issue. And then the only other airport note is that if you have access to the Sky Lounge, which is not based upon credit cards, it's more based upon like, what is it called? Your airline, priority airline status. I think it's the status. That just double check to see how that works out for you. Like I think, so check on your airline because we were able to enter into the Sky Lounge because of our airline status. And like I could take Blake as a guest and Dave and I could each independently get in. But the airport lounge or the lounge was also like 15 minutes from our gate. And we thought there would have been a lounge over in that area.
There wasn't.
But there wasn't. So we walked a lot, but we really had nothing else to do. So, and we were going to be sitting for 10 hours for our flight. And so I guess we can suffer through
a little bit of walking.
And then the only other note I would give is that maybe bring snacks, because all of the airlines basically do their food, like snacks for the plane. All of the airlines basically do their food the same way, where you get a meal right when you get on board, and then they feed you again like an hour before you land. But the problem with that is that it was a 10-hour flight.
Yeah.
And so like we were ready to eat, and the snacks were very odd. Like they did give those stroopwafels, which I can't have, and Blake wouldn't eat. And so you ate a stroopwafel, but you hardly ate any lunch.
It's not a snack either. It goes back to the issue we had on the ship, which is it's not a snack, it's a dessert.
Right. So just like we should have stopped and bought snacks at the airport. I assumed there would have been more. And like there were chips, but there were no pretzels.
Yeah,
like
pretzels.
I don't need the pretzel, but they did. And the chips were
different.
sour cream and onion, right?
Yeah.
Like the green package of chips like Lay's sells, but they were some Scottish brand or something.
Yeah.
So like, and we flew Delta Airlines, and the food was really weird too. Like my food was like the best gluten-free food ever, but their food was weird. Like we ordered Blake a child's meal, and it was again the tortellini, and it didn't have as many other things with it. And like the entree and Blake doesn't eat tortellini, even though we tried to get him to eat it. He wouldn't really.
Yeah.
And then Dave's food was like really unique also.
It was like spinach and blue cheese encrusted chicken, which who picks blue cheese as the thing to encrust your food with?
And then the other choice was equally not something you would pick typically. So, and then there was this woman sitting near us that was like, oh, I'm dairy free. Everything has cheese in it. And then even the chips had cheese in it. And then the one snack was ice cream. And then there was like a sandwich that came at the end for everybody else. And that had cheese.
The sandwich too was like, it was almost like a giant Hot Pocket-ish type thing.
So anyway,
one was...
they were just weird choices.
Yeah.
And they weren't choices that I feel like many people would say, well, that sounds delicious.
It was very odd.
It was very fancy maybe.
Trying to be fancy, but not really succeeding, I would say.
Yeah, that's true. So bring snacks. This was like a 5-minute story to tell you to bring snacks. So bring snacks. And so our son didn't eat anything, which was a little bit sad. But
he had eaten in the Sky Lounge before. We made him
good.
have
Thank
like a
God.
sandwich and stuff like that.
I forgot about that.
But it just, definitely bring snacks, or plan to bring a sandwich or something like that on board.
And then we flew home, and it was 8 million hours. And so, Blake watched so many TV shows and was an angel, honestly.
Perfect.
Like the best flight he's ever.
He was way more just with it than we were, just kind of going with the flow.
He just watched his stuff, and we all watched stuff, and there were no other real issues. So, and then our trip was over, and now our trip is over.
And it was like, whoa, this thing that we were waiting for so long, and now it's done.
I did post a reel. So if you want to see the items that we purchased in Europe, you can go to Pack Your Pixie Dust and look at my reels. I believe I also put it in the ABD highlight that's on like the stories highlight. So if any of you have questions and don't understand how to find those things, let me know and I can print them out for you. You could just send me a message in Instagram and I can help you with that if you have Instagram. And then
2 other things I think to share. One is a little fun tip, which is I think we had shared that we made a little chat group with our little pod that we found. Definitely do that kind of stuff with the people you meet. Because we still are messaging each other and it's fun.
Trying to figure out if we can do a reunion of some sort.
Exactly.
That group was such a memorable and meaningful part of the trip.
Yeah. It made the trip way more fun.
It really made the trip.
And I'm not someone that likes people.
Nice.
So
that's true.
But
his friend circle very small.
Very small. But it was very fun. They were all very diversely fun and just great people to meet. The other tip, which kind of coincides with that because it reminded me, is we just, in the last day or two, I think, it told us that the ABD pictures were available.
I told you guys because I finally went and looked.
Okay.
So Adventures by Disney takes your picture. And actually, I knew this. So this is a good tip to bring up, Dave. I knew they take your picture. But it didn't occur to me that literally we should make them take our picture together all the time because we didn't have that many pictures of the three of us.
Yeah.
And like, that was not a selfie, like, right? Hold out your arm, all of our faces shoved together. And they would have done that. And then they would have posted those pictures. And so if you are doing an adventure and they are saying, let me take your picture, you don't have to give them your phone. You can, but also let them take it with their phone. And then it'll show up on the quote unquote slideshow later. But then even more so than that, it'll show up on their website. The Adventures by Disney, like, documentation we got beforehand. And then they told us as well that it would take about 10 days for the pictures to show up. And I didn't go and look, and nobody mentioned that they saw the pictures before. But I went and looked today, and they were there. And I believe we had like 750 or 790 pictures. Right. Well, it was like, it's on so you could download what you want. Yeah. So I've been downloading some. And they take like some city pictures that are really cool too, like pictures of the sites. So that if you didn't, like, I forgot my phone. Oh, yeah. See, forgetting your phone. I forgot it in the cabin. Well, one time I ran back and got it or something, but one time we didn't.
Left it in my cabin. You would come into my room and you accidentally left
the nerve. So then I didn't have it.
So you didn't have it.
And we were going out to do the excursions and stuff. And so if you are missing a chance to take pictures, and obviously I use Dave's phone, but if you're missing a chance to take pictures, they'll have taken some as well. Which I just, like, I loved that.
Yeah. Because then, yeah, like you said, you can get some of those city pictures that you missed.
So that's it.
Yeah. Final thoughts. I think we would definitely want to do this again. Probably not right away because we're still tired. But
yes.
But it was an amazing experience that we definitely want to do again.
And I would do the Rhine again in the summer.
I was going to say, love to do it in the summer.
I would also do it again at Christmas because I loved this Christmas market and Christmas experience so much. Like, okay, it's expensive. So we're not doing this every other year. This is not our new Disney cruise.
No.
But I would do it again.
Absolutely. In a heartbeat.
Yeah. So.
And I can't wait to see, like, because Blake at 10 years old, I think was a great age to start exploring and seeing and getting his take on things. And he was into it. He was not the kid that got bored and didn't want to do it or whatever. He, like us, got overwhelmed some days and wanted downtime, but he was a trooper and awesome. And I can't wait to see as he gets older, like, how he ends up being on these trips.
Yeah.
As he gets older. So.
And is he still going to listen and ask questions and
like that? That kills me in the Rembrandt Museum when he was just asking all these questions and taking pictures with his phone, and just it was very cool.
It was very cute. So this is a good one.
This was a good one. A very good memory maker.
Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed these. If you have any questions, you could feel free to ask in the show note, like wherever you're on Facebook or Instagram where we post about the show. You can put questions there and I can try to answer them for you. If this is something you're interested in booking in the future, you can contact your travel agent, or if you don't have one, I'd be happy to help you book this amazing trip for yourself. And other than that, thank you for coming back to listen to the DCL Podcast. Goodbye, everyone.
The DCL Podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.